Welcome to the house, the one they talking about. Word of mouth, the boxing playhouse, without a doubt. All the latest and greatest boxing news, that's what it's all about.
Bienvenido a Boxing Playhouse Latin America con Danny Santiago y Sakura Armstrong. Hello, everyone. Boxing Playhouse here with my co-host and head honcho, Sakura Armstrong, right here at Boxing Playhouse Latin America. ¿Cómo estás, Sakura?
¿Qué pasa? What's up, Danny?
I was vacation a little bit. I was back in Florida, in your home state, you know. Estaba en Estados Unidos, en Florida las últimas 2 semanas. Por eso no tenemos el programa aquí en Boxing Playhouse Latin America. Pero regresé con buena noticia y bueno, vamos a hablar de la noticia. Esta semana el programa va a ser un poco cortito, va a ser como 40 minutos, 30, 40 minutos. Pero, ¿cómo se dice? Vamos a hablar de los temas de boxeo, qué ha pasado en esta semana de boxeo, qué viene en el futuro y cosas así. I'm just letting them know that I was on vacation for a little bit. I was back in Florida, and I came back and I am back with some good news. We're going to talk about some boxing this week. This week we have no guests, but we're going to talk about the ongoings of what's going on in boxing in the last couple of weeks and talk about the future of boxing. There's some pretty interesting fights coming up.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We've got another hot weekend of boxing. Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano. This back and forth with this fight has been going on for a few years now. And then we also have Oscar Valdez versus whom a lot of people believe is going to be the next boxing superstar in a Shakur Stevenson. Wow.
Well, hablando de esta semana de la pelea de Serrano y Shakur Stevenson y Oscar Valdez este fin de semana, vamos a hablar de la pelea de Tyson Fury con Dillian Whyte también. Hay muchas cosas de hablar, empezar el tema de boxeo y la noticia de esta semana de boxeo mundial, ¿no? Aquí estamos hablando con Sakura, ella no habla español tanto, yo hablo un poquito, so vamos a defendernos aquí a ver lo que hay. Yeah, listen, Sakura, I was talking about all the topics you just talked about. Interesting enough, if you don't mind, I'd like to talk about the Tyson Fury Dillian Whyte fight. What did you think about that fight? Did you get to watch?
Yeah, I really did watch the fight, and I was really amazed. Dillian Whyte, he looked so slow in that fight. I mean, he was telegraphing every punch that he was attempting to throw. And when you got somebody in there and they're almost 6'9", or they are 6'9", almost 7 feet tall, like that's not what you want to do. I mean, because you're never going to catch a Tyson Fury who is great at movement by you swinging really wide and really slow. You know what I'm saying? He has time to dodge all them type of punches.
He was throwing rapid punches. He would like throwing. I've been boxing a long time. I've rarely, if ever, seen a guy throw a punch like that. It says, especially on that top level, making me question his preparation. You know?
Oh my God, it'd be so bad to watch Dillian Whyte finally get this opportunity that he's gone and faced all these different opponents with, you know, and just to see him perform so badly in that fight, it was kind of hard for me to see. I mean, I knew the outcome. A lot of people did know the outcome would be Tyson winning, but we didn't know how. And I just was like, you know, if Dillian Whyte even looks good in this fight, he's going to get other opportunities in that division. But I wasn't impressed, or he wasn't looking like it was competitive at all. So I was left, you know, feeling like, yeah, why did Dillian Whyte fight so hard to get this fight if he wasn't going to show us that type of, you know, strong-willed mentality once he got in the ring?
Lo que ella está diciendo es que la pregunta que ella pensó de la pelea de Tyson Fury y Dillian Whyte, ¿no? Y ella sabía que, o pensaba que Fury iba a ganar, pero ella pensaba que Dillian Whyte iba a pelear un poco mejor, que no iba a estar tanto tirando los golpes que uno puede mirarlo y esquivarse y cosas así. O que se iba a perder, pero que iba a demostrar una buena pelea y que le iba a abrir las puertas para mejores peleas y mejores oportunidades. O no mejores oportunidades, pero otras oportunidades, ¿no? Pero como se miró en esa pelea, yo te digo, mire, el otro día estaba diciendo en la noticia que el referino, no, el árbitro no debía parar la pelea. Yo te digo la verdad, ese hombre cuando le dio ese golpe y se cayó para el piso, cuando se levantó como si estaba bebido, estaba bebido con mucha cerveza, algo así, porque se vio como si no paraba la pelea, quizá le podía hacer más daño, quizá lo mata, ¿no? Porque en este boxeo no se juega. I was just saying to the crowd what you just said, and to our viewers or whatever, that what you said about, you knew it was going to be like the outcome was going to be what it was going to be, that Fury was going to win, but you didn't think it was going to be that fashion. You thought he would show a little bit better of a performance, and that I thought, for me, when I saw something on social media that Dylan White said that the referee stopped it too prematurely, that Fury, was telling him to stop the fight. Listen, everybody in the world was saying stop the fight. That guy got up and he was on Queer Street. I mean, he looked to me, he looked like he was failing a DUI test or something. It was just something out of this world, man. That was a devastating uppercut, and his reaction to it was unbelievable. But the referees, Tyson Fury and the referee. Tyson Fury, I saw the video clip. He was saying stop the fight. I mean, he did him a favor because he would have no choice but to go let those hands go and put him back down. And who knows what the repercussions of that would have been,
Right, exactly. I mean, Danny, but did you see him like telegraphing his punches to Fury? Like, oh my gosh, it wasn't good. And now we're getting into this, rebuttal from Dillian White, in which he feels like he deserves a rematch based on the push, the little touch after the uppercut landed. He's saying that that made him hit his head harder on the mat, and that the ref should have gave him more time to recover, and it also should have resulted in some type of punishment for Fury. Like, what do you think about that? Is there any merit to that as a boxer? Am I missing something? Because I feel like he would have failed regardless.
I'm going to say it in Spanish and then I'm saying it in English, okay?
Okay.
So, ella me está preguntando que Dylan White le estaba diciendo que él se merece una revancha en esa pelea porque no solo fue el upper que lo tiró, que cuando lo empujó y se cayó por el piso y se dio la cabeza en el piso, que se hizo más daño que el golpe, y cuando se levantó pararon la pelea muy, muy temprano, y por esa razón le deben una revancha. Yo te digo la verdad, tienes suerte que esa pelea lo pararon ahí, porque para mí le puede hacer más daño, ¿no? Ahora I'm going to say it in English. Tyson Fury, I read what he when he interviewed him, what he said. Look, I'm a fighter. I got hit with a similar shot with your neighbor, Antonio Tarver. He went with that, and it stung me, and I'm a man. I admit my good part, and I admit my faults as well, right? So that man got up. Everybody in the world, Stevie Wonder saw him. He got up. He was on Queer Street. He wasn't going nowhere. The push, I don't know. The uppercut, if you look at it in replay over and over again, it was nicely landed. He didn't catch him flush on the chin, but he caught him right on the jaw with it. They have like a little weak spot, a little funny spot around here when you get hit, and once that happens, things do happen. Your body doesn't respond the right way.
Right.
It's one of the reasons why, believe it or not, I take my kids. I learned this from an old trainer of mine named Patrick Burns. He takes all his fighters to a dentist to make sure that their teeth are healthy and they have all their teeth in place and things like that. When you get hit in that jaw and you don't have the integrity of having all your teeth present and healthy, that's the ability to have a good shot, having healthy teeth and a good jaw, right? The jaw is only as strong as your teeth are. I'm not saying that Dylan White had bad teeth. What I'm saying to you is that he probably got hit in that funny spot with that shot, the way I saw it, and he fell. And I mean, the referee, you know, Tyson Fury, Tyson Fury did him a favor because he would have no choice to go out there and let some punches go. A guy standing 7 feet tall and close to 300 pounds, there's a lot of force coming behind that. Look, I like Tyson Fury for what he brings to the game. I like his boxing acumen. I don't think his boxing skills are that of an Ali or whatever the case may be. Some people compare him to those people. I mean, to me, he had the nerve to say he was the GOAT, and you know, maybe a GOAT that goes bad, but not the greatest of all time, you know. But he brings something to the game. But at the end of the day, he's, you know, damn near 300 pounds, and he's 7 feet tall, and he's punching down on you. The same situation that we have Deontay Wilder. Not only is he strong, but when you're receiving a punch and the guy's punching down, there's a lot of more force coming down with that shot than when you're punching up, you know. And I think that at least Dylan White can go on, enjoy his money, and live on and fight another day if that's what he chooses to do. But I think he needs to forget about Tyson Fury, leave Tyson Fury alone. I think he should forget about I think that'll be a good fight for Deontay Wilder. I think Deontay Wilder will win as well. But I just fight some guys that are, you know, built differently. You know, those wiry 7 feet tall guys. You know, Deontay Wilder is right around there as well. They're just wiry. They hit really hard and they punch down. I just think that he needs to stay away from that dance. You know, he needs to listen to a different tune.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Dillian White versus Wilder would be an excellent fight that could still be made, but he didn't help his case with his performance against Fury is what I have to say about that. But styles do make fights, so it is possible that would be a much better style matchup than you know, Fury. I mean, my thing with Fury is like, yeah, it's going to be hard for anyone to beat him at this point. It's because he's just so much bigger than everyone else. And then he does know how to move very well to be that size. So I just feel like
he gets the most out of his body, the most out of his reach. He knows what he's capable of doing, and he uses it. He doesn't, you know, he doesn't fake the funk. He knows he's a big, tall guy. He punches down. I mean, he's definitely character. Listen, there's no doubt about it. He's talented and gifted, and what he does well. His father named him Tyson after Mike Tyson, so he was born into the game, right? But Dylan White needs to stay clear away from people that big.
Yeah, I mean, it's a situation where he's definitely gonna have to, you know, readjust what he's doing strategically when he's in these bigger matchups. Because what you did with a Sasha is not what you're gonna do to a Tyson Fury, an AJ even, or a Wilder. You know what I'm saying? These are different body types, different profiles of heavyweights. And I think that's one reason why I'm like such a big proponent for bridgerweights, because there is such a big difference now in the sizes of these heavyweights. You know, from one side of the spectrum of being a cruiserweight heavyweight to the end spectrum, which is like a Tyson Fury at almost 300 pounds. Like this, they have no business. A 300-pound person or a 280 has no business fighting a 220 person.
No, you're 100% right. You know, I'm just going to say that to the crowd. Estamos hablando de los boxeadores hoy en día, como Dylan White. Dylan White es un hombre grande, pero los boxeadores hoy en día no son de la época de los 80s, los 90s, ni de los 2000. Los 2000, en los 90s era el tamaño mío, 5'9", 215, 220 libras. Ahora son 7 de pie, 6'5", 280, 300 libras. Imagínate eso, un hombre del tamaño mío peleando con un hombre como Tyson Fury. Eso es mucho. Pero eso ya dice que el cinturón nuevo de la CMB, Bridgeweight, ella es un fanático de eso porque es como un peso en medio de peso crucero, peso muy pesado. Y yo pienso que Dylan White debe recuperarse un poco, pensar las cosas, se gana un mundo de plata y que se recupere y trata a hacer unos cambios y va a seguir peleando, porque ya para mí eso vio muy lento. Para mí no se vio con tanto técnica. Y esta no es la primera vez que lo cogieron con un upper. Él peleó con un tipo ahí, un ruso, que lo cogió con el mismo upper y por poco lo queda muerto, por poco le quita la cabeza. Y debe pensar la cosa un poco más. I just mentioned the one time I think he fought that guy, you said Sasha, whoever it was, who hit him with a nice uppercut. And it was just, is that the guy from Europe as well? He hit him with a left uppercut.
It was an uppercut. Yeah, another uppercut. Exactly. So that is not his uppercuts are not his friend.
But no one's working on it because he's already gotten, I think, caught 2 or 3 times with it. You know. Yeah. First, hold on, real quick. I want to thank my man Emilio and Boxing PlayHouse for sending my little cup here. You know, so cheers. You know.
Yes, I see you. Well, he said you had to put your pinky up, you know.
All right, hold on. Let me do
so you got to do the pinky. Up, there you go. All right, now, there you go. Nice. I'm liking the little chalice.
So do I. Let's talk about the upcoming fights. Well, let me tell you something. I'm real passionate about actually all the fights that are coming up. First and foremost, my friend Herman Caicedo, a Colombian who lives in Miami, trained Luis Ortiz. Herman was he's been like a mentor to me, a great friend. We're very close in age, believe it or not, but he's just that's one guy that knows boxing, and I'm very happy that he's getting another shot with Luis Ortiz to go, you know, make some money and make some history. They're going to fight another great fighter, you know. I mean, look, there's so many great fights out there. Serrano, we have Shakur Stevenson. I mean, these fights are incredible. The next couple of weeks of fighting, it's a boxing fan's you know, kind of dream because there's some pretty good fights coming up.
Absolutely. I mean, I am so hyped for Shakur Stevenson's coming out fight. We're gonna see who the king of the 135 pounders are, right? Against Oscar Valdez. Valdez has the experience, and he's shown with his win over Burchell that he also has some power. So I'm wondering what the strategies will be for both men going into this fight, and who's going to come out as the king of that division. So yeah, I'm definitely hype on that. I mean, do you have any favorites in that?
Well, I'm going to say some things in Spanish real quick for my Spanish viewers. Estamos hablando de las peleas que vienen pronto. Luis Ortiz con Andy Ruiz, que esa pelea me gusta mucho porque yo soy un fanático de Andy Ruiz, me gusta cómo pelea él, un estilo que un estilo mío, ¿no? Pero a la misma, en el otro lado de la moneda es un amigo mío, un gran amigo mío que siempre ha estado por mi lado y me ayuda mucho, Herman Caicedo, un colombiano de la familia que son de Buga, pero viene a Estados Unidos, es el profesor de Luis Ortiz, que van a pelear pronto. Estamos hablando de la pelea de Shakur Stevenson con Oscar Valdez. Para mí, y lo dijo Sakura, para mí el futuro del boxeo está en las manos de Shakur Stevenson. Ese muchacho tiene pegada, tiene rapidez, tiene la inteligencia de boxeo, tiene los reflejos muy rápido. No estoy descontando algo de corazón y todo que tiene Oscar Valdez, pero Shakur Stevenson para mí está en otro nivel, un nivel muy alto que cualquiera que se confronta con él va a ser, eso sí no va a ser fácil. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that Oscar Valdez is that Shakur Stevenson is just on a whole other level. His intelligence, his speed, his power, his reflexes, you know, his muscle twitch is just different. There's something different about the way he throws his punches and the way he does his things. And I just think that anybody that gets in him and this right now, they need to wait till he gets a little older, maybe gets hit a little bit more because he's the real deal.
Yeah, I totally agree. But we're going to see if he has enough power, because right now it seems like he's been working on more power in his development. And so I'm interested to see if he's going to be able to come up with that type of power to get a knockdown or a possible knockout against an Oscar Valdez, who's, you know, pretty seasoned right now.
Yeah, Oscar Valdez, there's no doubt he's a strong, classic Mexican fighter, strong guy, comes at you, lets those hands go. He's got more, this is not an insult. I mean this in a good way, but sometimes sometimes these Mexican guys have more balls and brains, and
Machismo. That's what they call it.
Thing, yeah, but it's just Shakur Stevenson ever since he was a little kid. I'll tell you a story. When I had my gym in Florida, I had a kid named Lamar Charlton. Great fighter. We used to call him TNT, right? And that's when Shakur Stevenson was turning pro. And they called me up. And even though I love Lamar Charlton, and he's a good fighter, scrappy fighter, I told them, we don't want none of this little kid, man. This little kid from the Olympics, we going to stay clear with. And they were paying good money to fight my boy, and he wanted to fight. And I said, listen, Lamar, let's just go somewhere else, man. We don't want to go swim in them waters right now. Let that kid just go do his thing. Because I saw even early in the age, when he was in the Olympics, no doubt he was the bomb. But I don't know, something about when he turned pro, he made that transition. He's just, he's like a Floyd Mayweather, man. He's like hate to say it, even though he was my adversary at one time, but he's like a Roy Jones, and he's just of that pedigree where their muscle twitch is just different. They just click on a different set of cylinders, Estoy hablando de Shakur Stevenson, del poder de él, como yo lo veo como un boxeador, la inteligencia, la rapidez. No es que no, mire, en boxeo cualquier cosa puede pasar, ¿no? Porque Oscar Valdez no es él un campeón también y se merece el respeto, ¿no? Pero para mí, ese Shakur Stevenson es una cosa especial, como un Floyd Mayweather, como Andre Ward, como Roy Jones Jr., cosas así. Y me molesta decir de Roy Jones Jr. porque está supuesto pelear con él 2 o 3 veces, pero la verdad, en la época de Roy Jones, cuando estaba invicto, no podía nadie con él, nadie. Y el respeto se le tiene que dar. Shakur Stevenson, para mí, yo no creo que va a ser una pelea fácil, pero para mí va a ganar. Bueno. Yeah, the floor is yours again. I just told him what I said in English to Spanish and translated to it.
Well, I guess we don't have anything to debate because we both agree that, Shakur Stevenson is probably going to be the winner in this. Anything can happen. And we're going to also see probably the type of chin that Shakur has. Because Valdez has knocked out, Burchell in such a surprising fashion, and it was one of them hardcore knockouts. So we're gonna see just how much Shakur's chin can stand up to Valdez's power. But yet and still, Valdez is still very skilled as well. He's a nice boxer puncher. He has great movement, ring generalship. So I just think this is going to be like a really, really amazing fight. I'm looking forward to it being very competitive.
I hope it is. I hope it's one of those classic things. Listen, Oscar Valdez is nowhere near over the hill. This kid is, he's got some boxing intelligence, and like any classic, Latin fighter, he comes to fight, he brings the noise, and he's not afraid to live by the sword and die by the sword, So right. I expect a pretty good fight. I just think my boy Sakura, not to be favorite, just has a little bit more, you know what I mean? But we'll see. That's why boxing is like it is. No one really ever knows, All
right. Well, if that's all we can say, do you think that Shakur is going to end this fight early, or is it going to be a decision win? What do you think?
I don't think it'll be early. I don't think it'll be early stoppage. Oscar Valdez wants to he wants that belt too, and let me tell you this. I was undefeated, right? And I fought a fellow Hall of Famer. I was 22-0, and I fought a fellow Hall of Famer named Rocky Torres. And there was a bunch of guys. When I started getting something like 17 and 18-0, the fights really started getting a little bit tougher, because those guys wanted to be the first guy to be the zero. They want to pop that cherry, as they say, right? So, he got that W on me. You can't tell me that Oscar Valdez is knowing that everybody's overlooking him, and he's not training hard and training for the best fight of his life to showcase what he's capable of doing, to become the champ, to take that belt from this guy, from Sakura, and take that zero. I mean, sometimes that zero at that level means more than a belt. It means a lot more paychecks. It means a lot more fame.
Right.
And, you know, I wouldn't discount his hunger and his desire. There's a, you know, I can name a few guys. Look, I consider him a good friend. I care about this guy a lot. And when he became the world champ, and even though I wasn't able to become the world champ, when he became the world champ, it was like I became the world champ. And that's a gentleman, a hardworking individual named Lynn Johnson. That dude went to the gym every day. And I used to see him. We used to spar with each other. We used to beat the hell out of each other. I won't say I got the better of him, and I don't think he got the better of me. We just went at it with each other, you know. And but when that guy became the champ, I just knew he was going to do it because the way he worked, his desire. I remember when he was out there working construction, coming to the gym right after work with his boots on and stuff, you know. So when he became the champ, it was just like, man, you know what? If anybody deserved it besides myself, that dude deserved it. You know, and the same thing can be said. No one knows what's going on with Oscar Valdez. I mean, he's got the record that he has, he's got the accolades that he has, but you know, I'm sure he doesn't like looking at social media and everybody saying that he's going to be get the short end of the stick. That would wake me up every day extra early, put the miles in and put that work in. You know what I mean? So hopefully, Shakur Stevenson doesn't get too comfortable, because I got comfortable at one time. I'm like, man, I'm undefeated. Ain't nobody could touch me. And you know, I got smacked up. You know.
I understand what you're saying. I really do. My only thing is, you know, just waking up and feeling like everybody is against you, and you don't have the support that you had previously in your other fights, you know, as far as being the winner, that does put a fire under you. And a lot of boxers, though, they sink or swim with that. You know, they could go into a depression, or they could have a mental lapse during the fight. So, like, we're going to see what Valdez is made of, too. We're going to see exactly what type of, you know, fighter he is. If he got that Mexican pedigree that's willing to, you know, overlook and go through all of these obstacles and people not believing in you, and still showing up to, you know, at least giving his all.
I'm gonna tell you something, you know, and I don't play too much into the race thing. You know, I'm mixed. I got Spanish, black, I got everything in my family, right?
Yeah, me too.
You know, Oscar Valdez, he's Mexican. You know, so Chris Stevenson is Puerto Rican and black. You know, and he has Latin blood in him. But you know, look, you look at the history of boxing, and in the history of boxing, you got, you know, African Americans, black, whatever you want to call it, the Latin American or Latin people or whatever. They're usually the more successful guys, or the more whatever guys in the boxing game per se, right? Not always, but most of the time, right? And I don't really play too much into that. You know, you are who you are, whatever way you were brought up, and the hunger that you have, and the desire, and the discipline you have to get up and go out there and hit the road every day, and wake up a little earlier, and you know, stay at the gym a little later. That to me is, you win the fight in the gym, you know. Right. But at the same time, when you look at these kids, you know, Oscar Valdez is no walk in the park. He has an incredible amateur background as well, you know. And I don't think it's going to be easy. I think it's going to be a great fight. It's going to be a classic fight. I'm sorry to say, my heart is going with Shakur Stevenson, but who knows? Who knows? You know.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I feel like there's nothing wrong with going with whom you favor. It's just that I saw so much improvement with Shakur in that fight against Herring, that it's like I could tell his development as far as the mental part of the game was there, and then the physical part was there. Yeah. You basically saw him growing into his man strength, as they say. I mean, it was evident from the way he was looking in that fight that he had gotten that grown man body. So I just feel like he's only going to be trying to improve from that. You know, he's only going to be trying to be even better off that. And then he knows the consequences of this fight. He knows this is make or break for him also. I mean, so both of these boxers is going to have to basically find that mental strength to make it to where their dreams are going to come true in this fight. Because if Valdez does win, it's going to be like, damn, he is the king of that division. And if Shakur wins, it's like, well, we can just go ahead and look forward to a lot of lightweights moving up to 140, just to be frank. Like, people ain't going to be trying to stick around to see him move up one more weight class to dominate that. They're going to be trying to, go on up to the next division, which 140 junior welterweight is kind of like that zone that buffers you from getting into the real freight of welterweights.
Yeah. I'm Spanish. Estamos hablando de la pelea otra vez, del talento de todos los dos boxeadores. La verdad es que los dos tienen mucho talento. Los dos tienen el poder, tienen la inteligencia. Ella ha visto su Tirsen a crecer un poco como un hombre, como un boxeador. Como se creció un poco cogió un poco más inteligencia en la pelea que tuvo con Herring hace poco. Y por esa pelea le impresionó que ya está en una liga de boxeo, que la inteligencia que tiene ese hombre y la experiencia, ella piensa que va a ganar él, pero igual, todo depende en la dedicación que tienen ellos, el pensamiento que tienen ellos, porque por una mano, Oscar Valdez, él no quiere perder, él quiere quitarle el cielo de ese hombre, ¿no? Y quiere hacerse la estrella también. Y todo depende si está viendo y leyendo las cosas por redes sociales y la noticia, que todo el mundo piensa que va a perder él y quizás lo va a motivar. Algunos boxeadores no se motivan, le dan miedo, le dan como que, no sé, empieza a leer las cosas, a pensar lo que dice la gente. Pero por otro lado puede motivarlo y a ponerlo a trabajar más duro para probarle a la gente que él sí va a ganar y que todo el mundo le debe mirar a él, no solamente a Shakur Stevenson. Igual como él como Sakura dijo, que él después de la última pelea enseñó que trabaja muy duro, tiene mucha inteligencia, tiene mucha experiencia, y yo quiero que si gane va a subir para otro nivel.
Well, I mean, I wanted to see if we had any comments on these predictions, but so far we haven't had someone respond exactly to that. My thing, did you see anybody responding? Because I'm getting like a little error message on my software right now. So I need to get anything,
but I'm not seeing anything. But we've been off a while, so maybe some people just say, hey, wait, because this is
yeah, we had to get you back on, once you had your vacation and everything. We got to get it started back right. Now, the other fight we were going to talk about is, the showdown. Now, see, everybody is talking about Amanda Serrano's fight against Katie Taylor. But this one here, damn, I'm telling you, these are some foes. One lady has fought in Katie Taylor twice, and I still believe she has parsoon problems. And then the other has fought Amadouche, which, Amadouche is also somebody that gave hell to Michaela Mayers. So these two fighting each other. Oh my God. Like, that is going to be one hell of a fight. It's with two opponents that make fights exciting, and it's they basically have been brought in last minute for these other top girls, and they've caused them to not look so good on those nights, if you know what I mean. Like, yes. It always leaves you wondering, like, if they had called this girl and set up and negotiated a real fight with them, like, early in training, like, what might have been the outcome type situation. So for them two girls to be fighting each other, I think it's just amazing. Like, it's gonna be one of them fights that you don't want to miss.
Well, real quick, I agree with you on that. I'm familiar with one of the girls. We have referee, Hall of Fame inductee, Christopher Young, referee, staying Stevenson by late KO, late stoppage. So yeah, we got a little comment there. Thanks, ref. Also,
okay.
I took a
Okay,
quiz
so
for
he's
him.
also one of the acknowledged people for 2022's Florida Boxing Hall of Fame class. So he's getting acknowledged with an appreciation award, or I think they just call it an acknowledgement award. So congratulations to him on that, and we'll see you in June. That's June 17th to the 19th.
I'm
You
gonna
know,
be
he's
there.
going down. That is also going to be that card for Friday night fights, Danny. You remember
Hey,
that?
listen,
You
I have
remember?
some news. I have some news. Tengo una noticia.
Okay.
Some news. We're working on it. It's not 100%. It's not even 50% yet, you know. But Jesus Escalera, the promoter of the show, TK Promotions, him and his wife, the great people, they're doing everything within their power, along with Snap Management, to get one of my boys, Luis TNT Tenorio, the Terrible Tenorio, to fight in the show. He's 125 pounds. He's got a little regional title, and he's undefeated, 7-0 with 6 knockouts. He's going to be fighting on that show, hopefully. We're working on it. We're in the process today. As a matter of fact, we got a letter from the mayor and the senator over here to talk to immigration about perhaps granting him a visa to go to the United States and go represent Colombia, represent the hard work we've been doing, and represent his talent and go out there and fight. So hopefully, I'm going to be at the Hall of Fame, but hopefully I'll be working a corner on that Thursday or Friday or whatever, the 17th.
Friday the 17th is going down. TNK Boxing Promotions. Fight night, baby. We got all the Hall of Famers in the house from different years. We're going to have Danny Santiago here in St. Petersburg, Florida at the Marriott. And hopefully we'll get to see your boxer as well perform an amazing night too. So,
Can I say Spanish?
Go ahead.
Estamos hablando de la casa, del fin de semana de la Casa de Fama de Boxeo en Estados Unidos que van a ser en junio, de junio 17 hasta el 19, ¿no? Estamos en el trabajo, en la búsqueda de a ver si hay dos boxeadores, uno que va a pelear en la Casa de Fama el día 17 en la cartelera esa que se llama Luis Tenorio, Luis Terrible Tenorio de aquí de Tuluá, Colombia. Estamos en el camino con el promotor Jesús Escalera y su esposa de TNK Promotion, con Snap Management, aquí con Boxeo y Más y Dani Santiago y yo, para ver si sacamos la visa para que vaya allá y represente a Tuluá, el Valle, Colombia, la señal de todo el mundo, el talento que tiene él, y está invicto, 7-0 con 6 knockouts, tiene un título nacional, y yo quiero que le garantice, ¿cómo se dice? Le den la visa para que vaya represente. También tengo una noticia que no se lo ha dicho a ella. Estamos en negocio para un boxeador de nosotros aquí de Tuluá que firmó contrato con Don King, que va a hacer una cartelera allá en Miami Highlight, el día 11 de junio. Y supuestamente el boxeador aquí, Eider Solís, va a pelear allá junio 11. Y estamos en eso, en estos días. Dios quiera que vamos a sacar la visa, vamos para la cita de la visa. So, reza por nosotros. I also forgot to mention, I didn't tell you this. I've been in contact with a good guy, great guy, mentor to me. He's been like I've had a lot of influences in my life. 3 or 4 people more than others. You know, first and foremost, my manager, Rusty Ansell, who will be recognized at the Hall of Fame this year. He'll get recognition. Him and his son, Russell Ansell, they were promoters of Bad Boys Promotions.
Nice.
They to me are the driving force of what boxing has become in Central Florida, where I lived at for a while. But I got a phone call from my good friend Al Banani, a fellow Hall of Famer. He's actually in the International Hall of Fame as well, but he's in the Florida Hall of Fame, right?
Right.
And he told me, hey, look, Danny, I need some guys, this, and this. So I got a 6'4" light heavyweight. He's also 7-0, and with 6 KOs. I haven't put him in there soft, and we're in the process of getting both our guys their visas. He'll hopefully be fighting down at Miami Highlight on the Don King card on June 11th, and a week later we'll be fighting Luis Tenorio, God willing, at the TNK Promotions Boxing Hall of Fame weekend. So I'm really excited.
Well, I can't wait to see you here, Danny. Emilio is ready with his goblet. You got to make sure you bring your goblet like Bob Alexander, he said he's going to have a goblet. So it's just going to be a gold goblet night, all right? And it's all going to be in part because of Emilio and his boxing playhouse, which is now starting to be his new logo, which is that chalice y'all got.
That's all right.
So don't make sure you don't forget to pack your friend. Yes, pack your friend.
I got my starter kit. Emilio hooked me up. You and Emilio hooked me up. I got my little starter kit. Now I gotta get the shades and the maybe I don't really like to wear hats, but I wear the shades and maybe get blinked out a little bit. Who knows?
Yeah, you might have to dip into a little, a hat or two, maybe a boxing playhouse hat. You never know. You never know. Yes. But either way, that Friday night fights with TNK Boxing Promotions is going to be heavy hitting. I'm getting some information now, which I can't wait to share, but I can't share it right now. But oh my God, it's going to be some great matchups in this particular fight night. And the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame inductees, you guys are going to get like mucho gracias, applause and, accolades that you much so deserve. So it's just a fun night. Then we go into the expo that Saturday, as well as the dinner that night. And then Sunday is time for the ring bearers, baby, because that's when you get the ring for being a Hall of Famer. You go from inductee to Hall of Famer. Danny, tell us a little bit about how you felt when that happened for you.
Well, let me just say this. I'm gonna say this in English first, and then I'll say in Spanish. Coming out of the pandemic, it was a pretty good deal. I got inducted to Hall of Fame with my coach, Luis Camacho, who is another person who's influenced me as a coach in many ways, right? But I'm looking at, and it was some really great inductees last year. I can go all day about it, but looking at this list, Al Cole, Bresso Kendo, David Tua, Shannon Briggs, Keith Mullins, David Armstrong, Randu, Mr. KO, All Day Bailey, Corey Spinks, my boy Gus Corinne, my good friend Tito Casio from Ocala. We got him. I mean, the list is. It looks like an all-star lineup. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
oh my God, it's gonna be so good. That is like a super. I mean, we got Tua coming from New Zealand.
Listen,
this is worldwide. This is about to be global.
The first 10 people was like murderers row. I mean, they were like all killers. I mean, Shannon Briggs, come on, let's go champ. You know what I'm saying? I mean, David Tua, what do you say about him? That guy was a beast. You know what I mean? Yeah. Unbelievable.
That's just a great class, as well as, I mean, because when you guys had your class, I was saying the same thing. How they gonna top that class? You know what I'm saying? And then they came back with this here. I mean, I'm just like, wow. I mean, there was a lot of big names in your. I mean, Glenn Johnson was in your class. Antonio Tarver Senior was in your class.
Yeah, I mean,
it
was a great induction, but I'm gonna tell you this, man. I'm sorry to say, I'm really looking forward to being at this one. It's just from the top to bottom. There's two individuals dear to my heart. Like I said, my promoter and my manager. Rusty and Russell Ansell. They're to me. Rusty Ansell taught me a lot about business. My first house, Rusty Ansell helped me get. And I'll always have love for him. He started this boxing equipment company and he started this gym. He made the first camp in Central Florida where fighters could actually stay there. The gym was downstairs and the apartments were upstairs, first class, everything. Just a real good guy. And the thing about his little story about him, when I first met him, it was a mutual friend of ours named Christopher Santiago, who's no relation to me. Met the guy, me and him hit it off. He said, come in for 5 minutes. We were there for 2 hours. And then he just started helping me out, managing me, right? Knew nothing about boxing, just a great business mind. He ordered this book and taught himself how to be a manager. And he put me on billboards. I was in at least 40 billboards. You couldn't drive around town without seeing this mug, right? And put me on a restaurant in town and just really did things really big. So this year, I love being inducted, but the reality of it is I probably wouldn't be inducted if it wasn't for people like him and his family who took me in and gave me the platform. Actually, set the platform up for me to reach some of the accolades that I was able to achieve.
Yeah, I feel like you had a lot of instrumental people in your life that helped steer you into the boxing as a profession, and now it's going on past your professional career into a whole nother type of career for you that's still in boxing. And I think it's just due to the way that these people interacted with you throughout your career and help shape you to where you want to be able to give back and give to the next generation in the same way. And that's a testament to your coach Camacho and different people in your life, like Coach Herman you were talking about. Like, that's the difference between these teachers and these regular coaches.
Yeah, the reality of it is that the boxing community is very small, and I told these kids one time, I don't close any door. I may not walk through it today, but I make sure that I don't close it, because at the end of the day, I may never know if I have to knock on that door again. So I make sure that I don't poop where I eat, right, and I do the right thing, treat people with respect. But look, enough from me. The Hall of Fame is gonna be great. Let's talk about something I'm really anxious to talk about. Serrano, Amanda Serrano.
All right. So speaking on that Latin tip and Latin culture and that Latin pedigree of boxing, we're gonna have Amanda Serrano, Puerto Rico, in the house this weekend, which her house is New York's Madison Square Garden against Irish Kaylee Taylor. What the heck? This fight has been such anticipated. It will be undisputable. You know what that means, right? Like, you got all 4 titles in a 4-belt era on the line. And this is what I have to say about Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano, both class acts. No matter who was favored in the past and who got more accolades or more promotional engine behind them, neither of these women ever took it out on each other. They've always known they were going to face each other at some point, but to have it at the Madison Square Garden as a main event, 2 female athletes, it's just beyond, important for us right now. It's historic. So I'm looking forward to this, and like I said, I'm pretty sure this is going to be another very competitive bout, which I am still leaning towards Serrano. It might be a little biased in there, but so damn what? You know what I'm saying? So what? It is what it is.
Well, estamos hablando de las peleas de Serrano y Katie Taylor. Es una pelea que va a ser un espectáculo muy grande. Te digo la verdad, una de las primeras veces afuera de Chris Man y cosas así, que una mujer va a hacer la pelea estelar, y va a ser en el Madison Square Garden, en la casa de Serrano, que es de Brooklyn, ¿no? De Nueva York. Yo te digo, peleando en el Madison Square Garden, que yo peleé 3 veces ahí. Peleé en los amateos, en los guantes de oro, que me lo gané allá de Nueva York. Me lo gané también cuando peleé en la cartelera de Don King, que noqueé a Elvin Muriqui en Madison Square Garden, que fue una cosa increíble, ¿no? Pero esta pelea no va a ser fácil, va a ser dura. Las 2 mujeres son bien dedicadas, bien educadas, se respetan y saben lo que uno puede ser. So, esperamos una pelea muy buena, muy buena. Estoy ansioso para ver esa pelea. In saying that, I was just saying I reiterated what you said, but also something about fighting in Madison Square Garden is something else. I had the honor and privilege of fighting there a few times. I won the New York City Golden Gloves there a few times, right in Madison Square Garden. There's nothing like it. When I fought there as a pro on a Don King card, I knocked out this kid named Elvin Muriqui, and I took his 0 from him. So somebody took my 0 and I took his 0, right? Yeah. He was undefeated, 28-0 or 27 or 8-0, and I knocked him out devastatingly, and it actually put me back on the map, beating him again. He was a tough kid. He fought Antonio Tarvez and things like that, and I was able to knock him out. But for something about fighting in Madison Square Garden, I had Fat Joe and Big Pun there with me. And
What?
I had this guy. I had Rakim. I don't know if you remember ever being Rakim. They were all there chilling with me and stuff, and it was real cool. So I remember I used to have these before Deontay Wilder. I was always called the Bronx Bomber, right? And because I used to push from Yankee Stadium, and my boys came up with this thing called the Bomb Squad. I could show you pictures 25 years ago, 10 years before Deontay Wilder even thought about fighting. My crew was called the Bomb Squad, right? And I bought Big Pun a shirt, and it was 8X. Like the guy thought I was gonna make a blanket or something.
Big Pun was in an 8X.
Yeah, he used to wear 8X, and when I met him, he was in a 2X, you know, but he was an 8X, right? And but when Katie fights in her hometown, it has two things you could do for you. It can really catapult you into stars, you know, and give you a lot of energy and stuff like that. But it could also freeze you out. Although I don't think she's at that level anymore. I think she could surpass that. It's going to be a great thing because in New York, you have a lot of Puerto Ricans, a lot of Latins. And let me tell you something. I used to deliver beer. I used to have a beer route. I used to sell beer and some refreshments like Mystic and water and stuff like that. I used to drive a truck, right? When I was like 18 or 19 years old. And I used to deliver in an Irish neighborhood in the Bronx where there's like 200 Irish pubs. Is known for that.
Oh my
So there's a lot of Irish people. There's a lot of Irish people in the Bronx. I mean, in New York. There might be some fights in the crowds, I'm telling you that much, because they got Puerto Ricans and
Irishmen. And they're going to all be drinking and living it up in that Madison Square Gardens. That place has so much energy. Danny, I mean, the times that you fought in there, did you immediately know the difference from that venue, from other venues?
You know, when I fought in the amateurs, I fought in the Golden Gloves in the finals, right? And what they do is they take you out, and I was very fortunate that a friend of mine named Aaron Davis, Superman Davis, he's like, look, Danny, when you go out, don't be surprised because the lights will all be off. There's going to be one light on you, and you're not going to be able to see anybody, but they're going to be able to see you. And then when they announce your name, the lights go on, and then you're going to see like a million little heads, you know? So I was prepared for that. But if you're not prepared for that, because they don't do that in too many arenas, but in New York they do that at the Garden, where when you come out to the venue and you walk out to the ring, there's only a spotlight on you. And you know, the reality of it is that if you're not prepared to not see anything but the ring, right? And then all of a sudden the lights go on, it's like a million people, or, you know, not a million people, but like 20,000 people there. You know, it's like overwhelming. But let me tell you something. From the moment I was in that, and when I fought in Golden Glove, when I fought as a pro, I just knew I always wanted to fight this kid because we came out of the same gym in the Bronx, Smallest Spark Boxing. We came out of the same gym in the Bronx. I had my picture in a pizzeria over there, and they used to hate on me for it because they're like, he don't even live over here anymore. He lives in Florida now. He's not a New York guy anymore, you know? So when I was able to fight him, because he used to hate on me a little bit, and he was trained by Teddy Atlas at the time, you know, and believe it or not, I was in between trainers, and I had a really awesome trainer named Carlos Albuene who worked with Shannon Briggs, and we went over there and we knocked his block off, you know. And this for me, I fought in Vegas as well. For me, there's no place in the world like Madison Square Garden. I'm sorry to say, but it may, you know, they call it the Mecca of boxing, and maybe now Vegas is, but for me, when you fight at the Garden, there's something else there.
Yeah, I feel like the energy is high. I feel like as soon as you step into the building and you're going to the locker room as a boxer, I feel like you can already, like, you know, just tell the magnitude is different.
Yeah. It's totally different. I mean, you got to think about the history to it, right? Because you had everybody and their mother fight there. And the biggest fights in the history until Vegas, you know, had the MGM and all that stuff like that. Right? But I think it'll be a great night. Unfortunately, I'll only be able to watch it on TV, but I'm looking forward to it. Even when you're sitting, I've been to a couple of Knicks games. Even when you're sitting at the Garden and you're watching a game or you're watching a fight, there's just something different there. Even when you hear the guys say, "Hey, I got your peanuts here, got your hot nuts over here," and you hear them say the craziest things, you know, and you just have such a great time being there, you know, and from the different accents and, you know, from the different, you know, like I said, even when they selling peanuts, they make it like a little derogatory and they make it like a joke out of it. Like, hey, I got your hot bag of nuts here, you know, and it's just a great thing. I mean, as a fighter, you probably don't hear that, but I'm telling you both aspects of it. I was actually a fan of the game, and I was actually participating in a fight. And they're two different spectrums, but they're both awesome.
Well, you know, one thing is, I didn't hear you actually say who you got, baby. Amanda Serrano or Katie Taylor? I need you.
You told me. You told me.
I told you who I got. Who you got?
Listen, I'm never going to listen. So Amanda Serrano, let me tell you what Amanda Serrano is. I listen to her, and I'm a big fan. I've never met her. I don't know her. She does not know me, you know.
Yeah.
But I look at her history. This girl doesn't own a cell phone. This girl doesn't really have social media. She doesn't want anything distracting her from her purpose and her quest in life. If that tells you anything about her, you cannot bet against somebody like that. Because I only wish, I'm a coach now, and I only wish my fighters would take that discipline and take that attitude towards things. The lady literally focuses just on boxing. If you want to get in touch with her, you get in touch with her family or her management or promotional team. She's strictly one-sided, one-minded when it comes to certain things, you know, and you got to respect that. That's a dangerous person. I don't know Katie. I don't really know much about her. I just know that she's a tough little woman there. She's strong. She's determined. She's a champ, right? But look, man, you know, outside of the God-gifted talent, you know, that and she learned, you know, how to become a great boxer. But the discipline that she has is immeasurable. I don't know any boxer in the history of boxing that's taken that approach. Can I say this in Spanish?
Yes.
You know, ella me preguntó con qué yo voy en las peleas de Serrano y Taylor, ¿no? Katie Taylor. En verdad, lo que yo estaba diciendo es, hoy en día, no los días antes, pero hoy en día todos los boxeadores tienen teléfonos, tienen redes sociales, le importa más lo que está pasando en redes sociales que lo que están haciendo en el gimnasio. Amanda Serrano no tiene teléfono. Ella no tiene redes sociales. Ella no maneja nada de eso. Ella en la vida totalmente, ella se enfoca en el boxeo. Ella es, ¿cómo se dice?, tan enfocada en el boxeo que a ella no le importa nada más. Ella no tiene novio ni cualquier cosa así. Ella está solamente enfocada en el boxeo, en la carrera de ella, hacer su dinero y hacer la historia. Tú me dices a mí, ¿quién en la historia de boxeo o hoy en día el boxeador, sea hombre o mujer, que no está preocupado quién está escribiendo? Que tú vas para el gimnasio y ellos están así, escribiendo en el teléfono y mirando qué le están hablando y qué están diciendo y cosas así. Esa mujer no tiene teléfono, no tiene celular. Si te tienes que comunicar con ella, se tiene que comunicar con el profesor, con el manejador o la familia. Y después ella te habla. No va a decir que no habla por el teléfono, pero ella no es una dueña de un teléfono. Imagínate eso hoy en día. Yo no sé que yo ya era si no tuviera mi teléfono. Pero ¿cómo yo voy a aportar mi dinero con otra persona que no sea con ella? Porque ella es muy dedicada, juiciosa, trenea duro, come bien, no tiene muchas cosas que le está quitando la mente del boxeo, de su carrera. Es una mujer muy peligrosa, sabe lo que quiere hacer. Ella dice, después que me retiro, me compro mi teléfono, me pongo mi Facebook y cosas así, pero ahora mismo que yo estoy peleando y estoy un profesional, me voy a enfocar solamente en boxeo, porque no quiero que nadie me quite la mente de lo que tengo que hacer. Y tú tienes que respetar, y tú nunca puedes ir contra una persona así, porque es muy focada, muy focada. No hay excusa.
Well, we got Renee here. What's up, Box Young? How you doing tonight? Can't wait to see you at the next fight. Listen, she says, I need clarity. Is Serrano's coach still with her coach, the bald man with tattoos? I haven't seen pics of him with her lately. And that's a question that I can't answer. I mean, I haven't noticed anybody with her, but you know, Jake Paul, her new promoter. So I really don't know what's going on there with that situation. Danny, have you heard anything?
I actually haven't, and that's a good question, because I haven't seen, heard, or or anything about the guy. So that's very intriguing. You know, that's something we got to look into because you know, sometimes you make a drastic change like that, it could throw a monkey wrench in the situation, or it can make it better. Who knows, right?
Right, exactly. And thanks so much, Renee, for also, texting us in Spanish. We
You want me to
love
read it? You want me to read it?
Yes, read it because I see Teofimo's name, so I'm interested to see what this question is.
No, it's not Teofimo, it's teléfono. But here we go. It says, es cierto, es tremendo saber que Serrano ni tiene un teléfono. Está totalmente enfocada. He says that it's incredible to find out that and to know that Serrano doesn't even own a telephone in this day and age. How focused an athlete can she be? It's unbelievable.
I would love to be able to just throw my phone away sometimes too, Danny. I mean, but to keep it off and not be worried about a phone at all, like that's like some serious business. That's like when you really know you focus, It's like as soon as you get on the road and you forget your phone, you're like, damn, I got to turn around because we can't even be without our phone, our little safety net right beside us, right? So
Listen,
like
I was there without Google. I got to need my Google, my navigation, and my calendar. Like, but God bless her, man. That's what I'm telling you. How can you bet against something like that? Listen, they say there's a unicorn. That's a she's a unicorn. People like that don't exist.
Yeah, man, I totally agree with you on that because I've never heard of no male boxer not having a phone these days and age. Matter of fact, they stay on the Twitter and the social media sometimes more than they actually be in the ring. Some of these boxers, so you can only give her but credit for that. But the way that she dismantled her last opponent in Tampa, Florida, last year at the end of the year, she was on the undercard of the Jake Paul card with Woodley too. And I mean, that lady was so unrecognizable after that fight. And she really tried to lay her out. Sanessa got the KO that night, right? But damn it, her opponent didn't look half as bad as Serrano's opponent. I was like really super impressed with the way she handled business that night. And she knew she had a lot of different eyeballs on her that maybe she might not have had in the past. And I believe I have to give kudos to Jake Paul as well because, he's taking a stand for ladies' fights. He's making sure that, her legacy is and the things that she deserves and has earned in her illustrious career are actually given to her. It's not a lot of guys out here that would take their boxing career, and they'll like invest into a female boxer. So like I gotta give him his kudos for putting these ladies on the map where they belong because it's been what happened.
No, I can't wait for you to say. What you're saying this? Keep finishing up your thought. I'm gonna say something. Go ahead.
Right. I mean, it's the fact that when you're supporting a female who has been boxing this long and not one promoter has been able to market her properly or get her the big fight with Katie Taylor. And it took this guy to come along and be like, you know what? This ain't right. Like, she gonna be done finished her entire career and not had a decent payday and gonna need a whole entire another career to make up money for spending so much time and dedicating to this boxing sport. So
and she's making six figures. She's making 6 figures for this fight, so kudos to her and kudos to Jake Paul. But how ironic is this? First and foremost, Renee, he knows me very well. At one time, I didn't speak Spanish. And he says, great translate, St. Dan. He says, I've learned Spanish since I've been living here in Colombia. But talking about social media, talking about telephones, how ironic is it that Amanda Serrano, her whole career, doesn't have a telephone, doesn't have social media, doesn't do any of those things, is managed by a guy who got his fame off of being a social media guru. How crazy is that one? How ironic is that?
You know what? That is very ironic. Like that, you couldn't have even made this up in like a movie or anything. The fact that not only the way he made his money, that he's pinpointed and targeting and wanted to help promote someone who doesn't rely on social media like that. So yeah, you're totally right. But like I said, the fact still remains that it's going to take a lot more brothers out here, and I don't just mean black men. I'm talking about all brothers
Yeah.
to try to, lift these females back up and really show that these women have a lot to offer to the sport of boxing too.
Of course. And let me tell you something. The reality of the situation nowadays, Tyson said it the other day, that social media has made people, be brave behind certain things. But kudos to Serrano, kudos to Jake Paul and the Paul brothers for doing all the things that they do. Because the reality of the situation is that more people need to think out the box. Men need to understand that women bring something to the game, whether it's, reading contracts or negotiations, or how many times I've used one of my aunts and say, hey, look, we're going to go into a business thing. And, when I was working in New York and stuff, and I was saying my aunt in it because they'd lower their guard on my aunt instead of lowering their guard with me because I'm a man and I'm aggressive. And she goes in there and bats her eyes and gets things done, right? So, and I'm not trying to be so chauvinistic, don't get me wrong, but women bring a lot to business in general. They can see things from a different point of view, where some men are just too machismo to be reasonable when it comes to certain things. So kudos to them, and I hope. Look, let me tell you something. James Toney had a female manager. You remember her? They made a movie about her. There's a few guys out there that have had females, and look at how successful you are in what you do. You bring a perspective to this business that is very intelligent. And
thanks, Danny.
it is. I mean, those are facts, right? But yeah, hopefully this is to be the start of something big, something great, because we have to evolve. Once we stop evolving, we're dead.
I know. I mean, it is so hard. Like, for females, it's like, a lot of times you put in a lot of hard work and you do the research. In these boxers' cases, they're learning the skills. And, then you see people like, because they got a nice rack, basically, they get all the promotional value. Or in my case, you might not get picked because, even though your sport and you're good at what you do, you're not thin enough, or you're not cute enough, or you're not polished enough for some of these people. And that's why I just do it for the love of boxing, and the fact that the fans that we do have, they appreciate my boxing knowledge, and I can't ask for anything more than their support. More so
Me too.
Their network.
I'm going to say this in Spanish, okay?
Okay.
Estamos hablando de Serrano y su nuevo manejador, los hermanos de Paul, ¿no? Paul. Qué pena que hoy en día los hombres y las mujeres deben a trabajar mejor juntos y a buscar la vuelta juntos, porque algunas veces la vida o el pensamiento de una mujer te puede enseñar las cosas un poco diferentes que hacer un hombre y hacer bien agresivo y hacer, ¿cómo se dice? Muy tenso en la mente, que algunas veces las mujeres pueden mirar las cosas diferentes y pueden negociar un poco mejor, sea en negocio, sea en boxeo. Mire lo que hace esa muchacha. Ella va a ser un ejemplo para todas las mujeres en el mundo, que se puede ser una atleta como ella, se tiene que sacrificar, se tiene que ser, mira, ella está invicta, se va a ganar $1 million. I mean, se va a ganar no $1 million, pero un mundo de dinero. Y te digo la verdad, es que muchos hombres algunas veces son muy orgullosos para preguntarle a una mujer consejo o que negocio por ellos, porque se creen que porque ya una mujer es muy débil para darle negocio de boxeo, cualquier negocio. Uno tiene que abrir la mente y a tratar a ver la mejor vuelta para hacer la cosa, porque en este mundo la verdad es, en boxeo, más que nada, si tú vas a estar en boxeo, tienes que hacerlo por el amor, pero olvídate del amor. Tienes que pagar tu casa, tu carro, tu comida. Y si tú vas a hacer eso, tienes que buscar la mejor situación para llegar a buscar la mejor oportunidad para ganarte la plata. Oh, my man, David Estrada. Listen, I got to say a shout out to David Estrada. Listen, that is my dude. That is a good fighter. Listen, he's from Chicago, Miami. He's all over the place. That guy's a world traveler, man. David Estrada was a good fighter. Awesome human being, man. Just awesome, great guy. Mexican from Chicago. And, you know, I used to hang out with him and train with him in Miami. He has real good intelligence when it came to diet, which was a big problem with me. So David Estrada, much love, my brother. Shout
out to David Estrada. I think we actually had the opportunity to do an interview with him when we did a special on Roberto Duran. So thank you so much, Estrada. And now we're going to read Renee's comment. He says, facts, Boxing Playhouse. I could care less about how big a rack these boxing reporters have. I look for boxing knowledge, and Boxing Playhouse, you got it here. Quality boxing content. Aw, thanks so much, Renee. And I was speaking on the boxers too. Like there's female boxers that right now are getting more, you know, they're getting marketed way more and they're getting way more fights just based on the fact that they got a nice rack and they come to the weigh-ins, you know, wearing bikinis, etc. So, I mean, literally, that's why I believe it's going to take more men supporting these women and really respecting the actual skill level as well as the natural talent that these women like Amanda Serrano have. And I mean, and it's a good thing because Amanda Serrano is still very attractive, don't get me wrong. So it's nice when you have the whole package. I'm just saying, when you obviously don't have the whole package, but you just look good and people are promoting you based on that, that's not really fair to all the boxing females out here that's putting them hard work and tears, you know, since they were kids, and they're not getting the same, you know, promotional value that these other people are getting just based on looks and what they're willing to show. Like, that's just totally wrong to me.
No, listen, you're 100% right. And that's the aspect of the business, the chauvinistic ways of looking at things. I mean, listen, we're not cavemen anymore. This is, you know, we're in the millennium. I mean, this is, you know, everybody has Wi-Fi and everybody's rocking a phone. And, you know, look, man, you know, more power to the people, more power to the women. The women bring a lot to the table. They're intelligent. They're hardworking. You know, I'm a married man. I love my wife, and she's my backbone. She's, you know, she keeps me sometimes when I fall out of place or when I get a little distracted or unmotivated. Now I'm like most fighters, you know. Unfortunately, a lot of fighters, when they retire, they suffer from mental health issues, and we have a hard time letting go the limelight. And some of us who never had some of the people who never had the limelight never stop wishing they had the limelight, and they're trying to prove something. And so we all have our little demons, but you know, my wife and like most women, you know, you guys are just built differently. I mean, you guys, you know, in a lot of ways, a lot smarter. Y'all can read between the lines where sometimes we don't even read what you're writing. You know what I mean? So I think it's a big thing. I like what Serrano's doing. I like what the Pauls are doing. At first, I thought they were a joke, but they taking that, they laughing at right to the bank. they laughing
to the bank, and they also are giving back at the same time. How many people do we know that can say the same?
Listen, at the end of the day, like, it's something Floyd taught me one time ago, and I'm not friends with Floyd. I just met him once or twice. You know, he says in life, you know, you have to play the cards you're dealt, and you have to see certain things, right? So he, relating that to Jake Paul, right? Floyd said, look, man, when I first met Floyd, I thought he was kind of arrogant. I thought this, and I thought that he was a certain type of way. But when I met him, he was really nothing like that. I mean, highly intelligent. You know, he, and I know him and the Paul brothers have some issues right now, but he,
I didn't even hear about that one.
Yeah, there's some little money dispute there. But in any case, he told me, I was like, man, I thought you were like this, like this, like this. He said, why'd you think that? I said, this is what I saw on TV. He said, look, man, and at home, I'm just a different dude. When I'm at the gym, I'm a different dude. In boxing, you know, there's a good guy and a bad guy. Sometimes a good guy makes a lot more money than a bad guy. But sometimes the bad guy makes more money than a good guy. But either way, people that dislike me and people that like me, they're going to still pay those pay-per-views, and I'm going to take that money straight to the bank. And I was like, wow, that's a really good perspective of the way, you know, he looked at those things, right? So you look at the Paul brothers, you know, and they found their little niche, and it's not a little niche, it's something that every boxer in the entire world, including myself, would have thought of. I mean, I wish I would have thought of this, you know, social media thing and try to put it out there and market to people and stuff like that. But they're highly intelligent. Now what they're doing is bringing light to the UFCs and the boxing world and the female boxing and stuff like that.
Combat sports in general, yeah.
Exactly. How can you hate on that? I mean, you really can't. I personally don't know if they could fight good or they could fight bad. I actually contacted one of their coaches that works on them. Like, look, man, if you need me, I'm here. Whatever the case may be.
Which is really sweet.
Is a good friend of mine. But in saying that, they're smart businessmen, and at the end of the day, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. And what they're doing is making a lot of sense.
Right. Yeah. It's catching on. And just to know, so many boxers don't have, health insurance, don't leave the sport with much money, have these injuries. You know what I'm saying? Danny, luckily you're one of the ones that left with your full faculties, and you're able to make extra additional money on top of what you made during your career. And it's a blessing, but it didn't happen that way for a lot of boxers. But it's a lot of hush hush about that. It's a lot of people out there that don't want to talk about those that had those types of careers that people love, but now they can't get the financial support to even, keep a roof over their head or go see a doctor that they need to. And we just got to do better. We just got to do better. And if it takes the pause to help recognize that, so be it.
Yeah, of course. Listen, it's things that, look, people hate on the Paul brothers, and I can't hate on them because what they're doing? They're telling people what people only wished they would have said. They're doing things that people always talked about doing but never did. Right. Now they're hating on them because they're out there actually doing what we all thought of doing. Oh, man, I wish we could do this, and I wish we changed that. And we're sitting here. I sit here. I'm like, man, I wish social media was like around my time so I could start doing some things, But there wasn't, social media wasn't like what it is right now. I'm an old geezer, right? So I can't hate on them for that. I gotta tell them the way it is, man. God bless those guys. Let them do their thing. And look, they're putting money in fighters' pockets. They call. Look, I'm not a fan of Dana White. I don't know him. But I don't like the way he does his thing. He runs his thing like a, like a mafia type of thing where, look, it's my way or the highway. If not, they lock you into these contracts, and you can't wear, you can't wear sponsorship on your back unless it's coinciding with what they got going on. So, you can eat, but you can only eat from my kitchen. That's not cool. That's not free enterprise. That's not supposed to be what America is supposed to be about. America's supposed to be the land of the free, the home of the brave. And you're supposed to go out there and do what you got to do for earn a living. But he's telling you, if you sign into my company, you can't do these things. So Jake Paul, you got these guys fighting pay-per-view. And you know who did this? We know who made this money, and I don't think he's even all that either. And that's that guy McGregor. He became a social media superstar, and everybody, with his little crazy
bad boy of MMA. That's what he did.
And he got paid. You can't hate on him for that. Listen, the guy was in a $100 million something fight with Floyd Mayweather. I mean, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? But he let him do it.
Hey, Floyd saw the opportunity,
Of course, and that just shows you Floyd's business acumen, right?
Right.
But so the Jake Paul brothers, the Paul brothers and stuff. I keep calling them Jake Paul brothers, but the Paul brothers, they're like, yo, listen, man, let's even out the pay scale. You know what I mean? You got guys who in the MMA still working at Home Depot and they're on UFC. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, you ain't never gonna see Paul White be into this stuff.
Right.
So Jake Paul and Logan Paul doing their thing to shed light on what's going on and get some type of equal pay, not equal pay, but a good balance of you got the upper echelon, you got the Floyd Mayweathers. And then you got the Danny Santiagos. We understand that, right? But the reality, look, those are facts.
Saying that, but at the same time, you got paid way more money than a lot of boxers that were out during the same time period as you. So I wouldn't consider you to be like a B-side fighter either. So
I was definitely, honestly, man, more than a handful of times. Not very many times I was on the B side, right? But in saying that, I was very fortunate. I made some stupid investments and stuff like that, but I was very fortunate to see the brighter side of things, right?
Right.
And my fault that I dwindled it away or I didn't make the right decisions. But at least I had that opportunity to make those decisions, right? But there's some of these guys that go out there and they work their butt off and they do all these things, to get, and they don't get a little piece of the pie. And I appreciate what the Paul brothers are doing when it comes to those things, because look, I train fighters now, and what I on this side of the fence, it's really difficult. I mean, training the fighters is just one part of it. The business part of it is just like makes me want to just not even put on the gloves, go grab a gun or a knife or something, because these guys are trying to rip me off, and rip my fighter off. And I can only do well if my fighter does well, right? So
Right.
what Jake Paul and the Paul brothers are doing, and individuals like that are doing, I can't hate on them. Look, I had the opportunity to meet Al Heyman. I like what Al Heyman does. People hate on him because brothers, people that fighters are getting good pay. You know what I mean? But I can't hate on him, man, because he's pushing the product. He's making sure that they get paid somewhat near their worth, right? So or by their worth or whatever. If you can't sell tickets, why should you get paid? You got to sell tickets, right? But what the Pauls are doing, look at Serrano, man. Look how smart this girl is. She's like, wait a minute, I'm jumping on that shit because they doing some serious. That takes intelligence, and that, you know what that does? Men have ego. They're like, I ain't rolling with that YouTuber. But that woman was like, yo, this dude is smart. You know what I'm saying? You got to appreciate that. And men, we got to open up our eyes and start seeing reality, man. If it don't make sense, it don't make sense.
Yeah. Like, the thing that I really appreciate always about Floyd Mayweather is just the fact that, he had a plan early on in his life, and he saw that vision, and he got tunnel vision on how he could get there. And he didn't let anything and any barriers get in his way from what that original goal and that original vision was, growing up in Michigan, like on the rough side. So, I just have a favor for all these boxers that, like, they start out with a vision very, very early. And if they're able to see it, through the years, through fruition, like, that's somebody that's formidable. That's somebody that you should respect. Just on the strength of they had a vision early, and they didn't let nothing distract them from what their outcome and their goal was going to be. And Amanda Serrano is one of those people, in my opinion, because she did start out in the sport so many years ago, and she has been able to finally get the type of accolades and the pay, the compensation she so richly deserves. And every time a female has to go over to MMA for a fight or to make some extra cash or what have you, and they're really boxers, my soul hurts so bad, because I'm like, that's effed up. That they gotta, like, literally leave the sport that they love in order to get a payday over here. Come on now. Like that's just like really, a sick thought about our sport. But to know that she's gonna finally get that payday is a step in the right direction for all women. I don't know, all women combat sports people, they should be really looking at this fight and knowing that it could be a breaking point for all women to get paid more of what they worth. Will it be equal to what the men get? I'm pretty sure it won't be, but we got to take those baby steps in the right direction to finally get it where it needs to be.
Vamos a hablar en español lo que estamos hablando era tema de lo que está pasando en boxeo, en los artes marciales, ¿no? Mucha gente se pone bravo con los hermanos de Paul y todas esas cosas, y dice que Floyd no es inteligente y McGregor y todas esas cosas, pero la verdad es que ellos son muy inteligentes, y lo que están haciendo los hermanos los hermanos Paul y todas esas cosas, abriendo los ojos al público, abriendo los ojos a la comisión de boxeo y casi amenazando los promotores a decirle, oye, como yo, como un youtuber, estoy ganando más dinero en una pelea que un boxeador en toda la vida. Se está abriendo los ojos, mirándole a Amanda Serrano, que firmó con Jake Paul y la está manejando. Por fin se está ganando un mundo de plata. Se está ganando en los 100 miles de pesos, tú sabes, dólares, digo. Y lo que pasa es que muchos hombres en boxeo, el ego no lo deja a ellos a ver las cosas como son. Piensan antiguo en la mentalidad que no, yo soy un machismo, yo no voy con ese hombre, porque ese hombre es un youtuber, no sabe nada de boxeo. Si no sabe nada de boxeo, sabe de negocio, porque ese hombre se está ganando millones y millones y millones de dólares. Y dime tú, en la vida mía, algunas veces me pienso decir, men, da pena que yo no nací en esta época, para que yo me ganaría una poca cosita, como para pagarle la casa a mi mamá o algo así, ¿no? Y la verdad es, uno tiene que apoyar a esa gente, así como los hermanos de Paul, que están abriendo los ojos. Mira, Amanda Serrano, ella estaba con este promotor, con ese promotor, ahora firmó con el hermano ese de J. Paul, y se está ganando más dinero en esta pelea que en cualquier otra pelea que tuvo ella. Fíjate eso. Y nosotros no pudimos quejarnos porque ese hombre está viendo los ojos. Mira lo que está haciendo con Dana White y la UFC. Él está peleando por todos los boxeadores, por toda la gente que está en los artes, sea boxeo, MMA, lo que sea, que está diciendo, oye, esta gente que están poniendo la vida en la línea a pelear para los fanáticos, para la gente en televisión, para los pay-per-view. ¿Cómo carajo un hombre que nunca le da una bofetada en la cara como cualquier promotor, ¿no? Que se va a ganar más dinero que el boxeador o el arte marcial o una mujer? Dime tú. Uno tiene que apreciar eso y a darle el conocimiento y respeto que ese hombre está abriendo los ojos y por él, por fin, Amanda Serrano se está ganando su platica. Oye, eso, después de tantos años, al final, aquí ahora mismo que firmó que este hombre que le va a dar un pago que se merece ella. Y para eso yo le digo que me quito la gorra y le doy un respeto a ellos. Yo nunca lo he conocido a ellos. Quizás nunca lo voy a conocer, no sé. Tengo unos socios que trabajan con ellos y hablar con ellos, pero yo no lo conozco, pero uno tiene que respetar lo que están haciendo. Eso es lo que Sakura está diciendo, que hoy en día los hombres tienen que abrir los ojos en el sentido de trabajar con mujeres y a dejar a las mujeres el chance de pelear o a ser comentaristas y a respetar la inteligencia que tienen ellos, ¿no? Igualmente que, mira Serrano, yo me acuerdo, yo estaba en un gimnasio y mucha gente están ahí hablando mal de Jake y Logan Paul, ¿no? Pero mira, ella vio una oportunidad y dice, oye, este hombre y esta familia se está ganando un punto de plata. Ella es campeona, ella todas esas cosas. Y mira, firmó con él porque sabía esa era la única manera o la mejor manera para ella ganar su platica. Tú tienes que respetar eso. Todos los boxeadores en el mundo tienen que abrir los ojos y a ver las cosas como son. El mundo ha cambiado, todo el mundo tiene celulares, todo el mundo tiene esto, que si lo otro, todo el mundo está disfrutando la vida, estamos en COVID, estamos recuperando eso, pero igual, tiene que abrir los ojos en el mundo del negocio. Algunas veces toca a una persona que está afuera del negocio tuyo para enseñarte la cosa que está pasando en el negocio tuyo. Abre los ojos, gente, ¿ok? Anyway, I just said what you just said about people, guys, in general, opening their eyes to not only the women aspect of things, but the possibility. Look, it took an outsider, like an outsiders, like the Paul brothers, to shed light on perhaps, I wouldn't call it corruption, but the unbalance of things when it came to the sport that I grew up loving and I've been in over 30 something years. And Amanda Serrano saw an opportunity to, capitalize on a locomotive that's going in a tremendous amount of speed. And she was able to, punch her ticket and get on that train and, make probably the biggest payday. I'm not sure, I think it's the biggest payday of her life. And that speaks volumes.
It's a worthy fight. That's the thing. It's like he didn't have to give her anything. She really earned it. And the fact that the fight was just dangling out there. Like, it was always a huge fight that other promoters just could not and would not, embrace. And now they're seeing like, whoa, everybody wants to be at this fight. It's at Madison Square Garden. Katie Taylor, who also has earned her right to be there. and receive her big payday too. They both are so deserving, and I'm so glad it is happening for women's boxing finally.
And it's opening the pendulum, the Pandora's box for, you know, the Clarices and everybody. We have a tremendous amount of fighters. You know, we have Clarice, we have Carice, we have, you know, I remember when I used to see Lady Ram fight, you know, and she was, I hate to use the word, I'm not gonna use the word, but she was tough. You know what I'm saying? Like that lady could fight, you know? And she was one of the pioneers. There's a lady named Cora and Dora Weber. They were awesome. They were twin sisters. They were like the pioneers of fighting, you know. But, you know, Layla Ali, you know, she did her thing, but she was very marketable for her name and her beauty and stuff like that. But the reality of the situation is that what's going on right now with the Paul brothers, I think is going to really open up the world, not only to female boxers, but to boxers and competitors all across the board.
Absolutely. Now, before we go, we got some breaking news on two fronts. News has just come out tonight. Here we go. The first one is that Coach Commando, Orlando Cuellar, trainer of some of the best in the business, including Glenn Johnson. Well, he is now the head trainer for John Pascal. Now, is he going to be able to bring him to his former notoriety? And is he going to be able to whip him in shape with that pad use that he was caught with, you know, when he was supposed to have his showdown with I think it's supposed to be like a rematch with Body Jack. Now, is he going to be able to, you know, get him back on the right road? I'm going to say yes. Because Commando is pretty tough, too. Like, he's like Lady Ram as well with their tough training and that tough mentality. And he's not going to be, Pascal is not going to be telling Orlando Cuellar what he's going to do. Oh, no. Coach Commando is going to be telling him what he is going to do. And, you know, that's another one of your classes, Hall of Fame classmates.
Well, me and Orlando go way back, back from New York City. We know each other quite a while. He was involved with Lou Duval and a few other friends of mine. Very knowledgeable guy.
You got to get Lou Duval on the show. I love him.
Yeah, he's awesome, man. You know what? I'm trying to get in touch with him. I have my old amateur coach Jeff Farrell, real good friends with him, and a friend of mine named Ray Sosa is real good friends with him. So I'll try to get him on. But and him and Melissa, they're just a whole boxing family. They all won the Golden Gloves. Every single one of them. There's 3 brothers and 1 sister, and they all won the Golden Gloves in New York City. So that's a historic thing. But instead of that, Orlando, getting back to Orlando, very smart guy, very dedicated. You know, he picked up his life and picked up his family, moved down to Miami, and he just catapulted. I mean, he started training fighters down south. Look with him and the relationship. I'm never going to discredit what Orlando did, but I'm never going to discredit Glenn Johnson. I think they were a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
You know, they came together. They had a hardworking coach with an equally hardworking fighter. But, you know, I don't know John Pascal. He was at my fight in Vegas when I fought Baby Shimonov, you know, for the title. And, you know, we've kind of crossed paths in the path, you know, in the past. But I don't know. You know, I will say this. Orlando's the guy to work with a plethora of fighters. He can work with anybody. And as long as you're willing to adjust and understand that when you're in the gym, he's the boss. You know, it'll be interesting. It'll be really interesting.
I think it's going to be really interesting because, you know, Pascal is known for that overhand right hook that he has. And it's a money punch that he can land. And I'm looking forward to Orlando being able to hone in on that a little bit more. Give him a couple of other tools to be able to set up that punch a little better. You know what I'm saying?
If anybody can, like I said, you know, trainers are a dime a dozen, right? But they're very few teachers, right? Coaches are a dime a dozen, but they're very few teachers. Orlando's a teacher. He's very dedicated, very focused. He has very good work ethic. I've never worked with him personally, but I've been in the gym with him. We've working, and we've always been friends. We're a Hall of Fame, we got the same me in the Hall of Fame, so he's an awesome, awesome individual all around. It'll be interesting. This is one of those things. I'm not the biggest fan of John Pascal. I'm a fan of Orlando.
Right. Yeah, you're right. You're right. When you're right, you're right. Because I was a big Badu Jack fan. So I thought that
Badu Jack
won that damn fight.
Badu Jack, that boy.
Yeah, that right there. Like, I felt like he won that fight that was in Atlanta. And of course, Lou Duval, his trainer. So we already know what that is. That's nothing but pedigree.
You know something, Lou Duval. When I fought in Golden Gloves, he used to spar me. I was very young in the game. He's not much older than me, but I was very young in the game, right? Mm-hmm. And he said, Danny, you're gonna beat this kid like this. And I would beat the kid just the way he said it. When I went to the Golden Gloves, he's like, yo, you gotta watch this guy. This guy's like a Sasquatch, he's gonna grab you, this, that, the other. And it happened just the way he said it. What a great boxing mind. I remember when Floyd hired him and moved him out to go train Badu Jack, man. I'm like, man, that's a good matchup. Lou has he has a great boxing mind. Just unbelievable.
To tell you the truth, you know what? We sat down and talked to Lou the last time we was in Vegas, and he was enjoying my boxing knowledge. I felt so like privileged and honored because he was like, "Hey, she know her shit. She know." He's sitting like that, like, "Yeah, she actually know." He's like, "Yeah," and the guy's like, what are you doing talking to these people that you never talk to anybody? He's like, well, she got something to say.
Yeah.
So I'm like all honored and like, yeah, Lou Duval gave me the okay.
Well, he's a smart guy.
Yeah.
Very smart guy. Let me tell you something. You got to watch that guy play basketball. He's like Michael Jordan. That guy is unbelievable.
That's crazy. I wouldn't see that. I would not see that.
That dude.
I know he got a sister that also was an amazing female boxer too.
She also played basketball. She played basketball in college.
So they both did. Both.
Yeah, like the whole family. He trained his sister and his two brothers to fight in the Golden Gloves, and they all won the Golden Gloves. Him and his sisters and his two brothers. So
because he's such a strategist. He is on point with the strategies you should go on a fight with. Just like he was able to pinpoint to you and let you know how this opponent was going to act and how you needed to behave or counter that. Like, that's what he's great at. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next breaking news is, guess who's picking a fight with Canelo Alvarez? You would not believe it. Yes, Usman. No, not McGregor. But you were on to something. There's still an MMA fighter with the UFC. And they are going back and forth. And Usman is like, well, are we going to do this in the cage or are we going to do this in the ring? I'm willing to find out in both. So Usman is basically saying he can do both in the ring and the octagon. And then Canelo, he responds that, you calling me out, right? You want a payday, right? So you know where. But sit down. It's not your turn yet. I have a legacy to be made. So he shut that down right away. Like, this ain't nothing that's going to happen anytime soon, bro, man.
Hey, listen, he's the guy that's calling the shots.
And let me just say this. Usman, he knows his boxing skills for a fighter, for an MMA fighter. That's how he wins. He wins off his stand-up game. But these people in MMA and combat sports, like they should not get it twisted. That is totally different than being totally disciplined and in a real boxing ring with boxing rules. Like, that ain't the same.
I'm going to say this in Spanish. Estamos hablando de Canelo y este hombre Usman que quiere pelear con Canelo. Dice, oye, vamos a pelear en el octágono, en el ring, lo que sea. Vamos a pelear y cuando sea. Y Canelo dice, tranquilate, papi, que el que manda aquí soy yo. Tú sigue haciendo lo tuyo. Yo estoy ahora mismo trabajando en la legacia mía, para que la gente se recuerde que en la leyenda que soy yo. Y uno nunca sabe, pero tranquilate. Yo sé que tú quieres ganarte tu platica conmigo, pero en estos momentos no te toca a ti. Este es tiempo mío. So, quédate tranquilo en tu casa, ve la pelea, ve la televisión, haga lo tuyo, porque lo que estoy haciendo aquí es más grande que usted. So I just said what you said, but yeah, you know, look, he's the top of the food chain. You know, he's the biggest payday out there right now. And who wouldn't? Shit, I'll get out of retirement and fight him. You know what I mean? Who wouldn't want to fight him right now? It's an automatic winning lotto ticket. You know, you ain't gonna work the rest of your life. You will fight him. You know, so I give props to Usman. You know, I mean, talk a little shit and see if you get a little. Because nowadays it seems like if you talk a little shit, somebody gonna fight you. You know what I mean?
Like they want it. They want it big time when it's Canelo. Like, you know, it's just like everybody wants to call him out because he knows it's about the paydays. It's not that they want to necessarily beat him. Like, they just feel like, hey, I can get me a payday too if I make this particular bout, you know. But we want to send a shout out to everybody that watched us tonight. Danny, we got to wrap this show up. We got a little carried away.
Okay.
With that time
next week we'll promote the hell out of it. I'm hoping to get a special guest on there. I'll let you know during the next couple of days. I want to say this in Spanish to my people, whoever's watching, if they're watching. Mire, los fanáticos de boxeo, de Boxing PlayHouse, gracias por apoyarnos, para estar aquí con nosotros. Perdóname que estaba en vacaciones estas últimas 2 semanas y la semana que viene voy a tener una entrevista muy especial. Te lo menciono en estos días en redes sociales. Le agradezco a Sakura y a Emilio para tenerme aquí, acompañándome aquí en este programa, y siga apoyándonos. Dile a todo el mundo que por favor toca el Facebook like y YouTube y todas esas cosas, y Dios te bendiga y nos vemos la semana que viene.
All right, and don't forget, we got June 17th through the 19th. It's going down in St. Petersburg, Florida, Marriott. It's on Roosevelt Boulevard. It's going to be T&K Boxing Promotions Fight Night, and then leading into a Florida Boxing Hall of Fame weekend that is going to excite and entice everyone. Get your tickets, get them now, book your room now. It's going to be all at www.floridaboxinghalloffame.com. Until next week. Oh, well, you'll see me tomorrow night. I got Florida Boxing Hall of Fame president and vice president with me that night, as well as a new prospect that's gonna be coming on strong, 5-0 with 4 KOs. We're gonna talk to him and find out what he has planned for his career.
Hopefully I'll be there. Hopefully you'll let me get on with you.
Oh, I would love it. We would love for you to be a part of it. I mean, we'll take another Florida Hall of Famer, no problem.
All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow.
All right. Peace, guys.